Hey everybody, this is Nick. I got a quick lecture for you about how to draw stairs in CAD. The idea here is to make your stairs as clear as possible to the person reading your drawing. You know, what kind of stair you're drawing, whether it's going up or down, like that sort of thing. And then that's what this is really about. There are different types of stairs that we're going to go through, and different designers, different architects you might work for, or different professors you might have other ideas about how to draw these. But what I'm going to show you I believe, mostly what's accepted. Again, the idea is just to be clear about what you're trying to draw and make sure that it's not ambiguous, right? And so again, you take these as kind of a starting point. I'm going to explain what you see in the drawings, and it's something that you can start with, and then you can discuss with whoever you're actually making the drawings for. So what I've got is this kind of drawing of a building, and it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same building in each case for the most part, but we're gonna see different ways of drawing the stair. So if you can see my mouse here, you can see that there's a stair and it's going up. And what happens is that when you cut the building in section, right, to make the drawing of the plan, you stop here, and so you can see like a slightly darker line. This is a solid line. And then these are the stairs as they keep going up. Remember, overhead elements in our drawings get a dashed line. And look at how the kind of tightness of that dashed line, like it's not quite solid, but it's definitely not very fragmented either. So you want to try to strive for this when you're working with your line types and your line type scales. But what this means is that you can walk underneath this space, that this stair keeps going up, but that underneath it is space, right? So this is what's overhead. And that's what this is a really good drawing. This drawing is a really good sort of indicator of that, right? We want to make sure that, it's not a solid stair, for example, right? That we might have some storage in or a space under, or like some kind of occupiable room. This is just merely saying that there's space underneath it. This is another way to represent that, and what this is just basically showing the kind of outline of it as an overhead. And you can see that in a drawing, like this might look kind of cluttered, but at least it's extremely clear as to what it's trying to say, that there are these stairs, and there are like this many treads in the stairs, and then the stairs will stop here. This is just another way to represent that information. Like, for example, if you needed to show some furnishings or something underneath that, this way of drawing it would like allow you to do that. And they're both valid. They're just communicating slightly differently. And then this other option here, this is actually a solid stair. Like if you have the kind of poche of the wall sort of going inside of it, you can see that like this is actually saying that like, okay, we're going to cut the stair, but this is a solid mass. We're going to treat this as a mass, right? You can't walk under this. Like you'll crash into it. Okay, so that's what that represents. And then you can see like if as we go up the stairs, right, we go up. On the second level, there is a railing, and we are coming from here and walking up and into the space. And you can see that having the heaviness or the thickness of the line here kind of creates the idea that, again, we would fall down the stairs if we did this, right? There's a railing there, but we can go up and around and see how this goes. This is light. So spatially, we can read that drawing, again, as walking up the stairs. We're looking down on it. We're not cutting the stairs anymore because we're way above that stair and looking down on it, right? So it's like we took the roof off and we're looking down. So that, again, looking at that first level and then going to the second level, that's how you can read that drawing. We're on the second level, okay? And so I just want to show a couple of section views now of that. You can see like where the section is being cut through. Note that we're cutting again through a threshold, or we're cutting through a window opening. Always want to make your section spatial. You guys know this. We've talked about this like a million times. And that also pertains to where you are drawing a section through a stair. There's a way to draw through a stair that also makes it more spatial than not. And so you can look at that. This is the first section here. You can see what we've done. Again, cutting through the window, walking up the stairs, and there's another window, and then on the other side of it, there's the railing, and then there's this kind of mezzanine. And again, spatial. See, we go up, there's all this space. There's space under here. There's space over here looking down. That's a great section. There's a lot of information. You can also see that as we go up in this project, on the second level, there's a door that goes out to some other space, and that's what we want to read here as well. That there's another, that you're actually changing levels. It's quite nice. And then the other drawing, this is the kind of, you know, a little pancakey, right? But you see the railing, you see the opening through the door, and you see the windows, and you see the other door. You can, some people will actually draw the door in the frame. I don't usually. I usually leave it as an opening, at least in second year, at least for like schematic designs. But that again is something you can talk to your professor about. But you know, just thinking about the way what this communicates is just that there are these two levels, and you may have some things in the foreground, and that's what you want to talk about, or you might want to talk about this threshold and coming in through the street. And so that might be a reason why they drew this section the way they did. And so, you know, again, like these areas are where we cut our plans from. You can see like this line here is cutting through the stair. And that's how we end up with, you know, this line right here, right? Taking a section through a section is a plan. Okay, so what happens when you have a switchback stair, which is a stair that has landings that goes around itself, right? So let's look at this through a 3-story building. So here's a switchback. So now you have the convention, right? We cut the stair, and you can see these are all the overhead elements. You can see the landing. You can see the other stair as we move around. But what this indicates to us in the drawing is that this is where the stair begins. I'm going to walk over here, and I'm going to walk up and around. That's what that shows to me. And then again, here's another way to represent it. And then if it's a solid stair, this is how you represent it. So now we kind of understand that. And then as you go to level 2, this is a little more tricky. You're coming from here, walking up to the landing. There's a railing here. We can exit into the room here, and then we can go up to the next level, and it's cut. So you can see like where this cut is where we're coming from, and then where this cut is when we go around is where we're going to be going up to the next level. Okay? Think about that for a second. And then when you're on level 3 looking down, right, just like in the other drawing, we're just, our stair is done. We're looking down on it, and we can see where we were coming from. And one thing that I think actually is not working super well with this is that, you know, we are coming around. I think that there needs to be a railing here. I think if there were that indication, you would really understand where you enter the room, and that's actually a flaw in this particular drawing. Which actually, this is a bad time to bring it up, but these drawings are from my friend Brian Shields. He taught with me at Charlotte, and he's currently at Cal Poly. He's a great teacher, and these are his drawings. I hate to start by pointing out a flaw in the drawing, but Brian made these drawings, and this is actually something that he worked on when he was teaching with me. And I use this all the time. So props to Brian Shields. Sorry about the drawing, man. So yeah, that would be something that I might indicate, you know, that there'd be a railing there. So again, taking a section through the stair, and look at how spatial that is, right? Like you can see how we come up and there's a landing. You can see that there's a mezzanine, you know, and see that there's that there's a railing, and you just get a real sense of the spatial feel of that. And you can see these are where the plans were cut. Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense. So thinking about, you know, cutting through windows, cutting through doors. When you have ramps, a good rule of thumb for a ramp that makes it accessible is a 1 inch vertical rise for every 12 inches. So just a 1 to 12 ratio. It's going to be a section through a ramp. So we're going to have one section that's through a ramp when it's on the lower level, and then one section when we're looking at a ramp from the next when we go up the next level. Look at how far it takes to get up a story. Like ramps for accessibility have to be very long in order to transition from one story to another. So bear that in mind, right? And you typically do want to have a few pauses. You want to have a few landings, and this is a pretty substantial ramp. There'd probably be a landing or two in there if you really were going to do it for accessibility. You just need places to pause and rest, or God forbid you'd fall or something like that. You don't want to go down the whole length of it. You'd want to have a place to stop. So if you're looking, this is one way to draw a ramp, and you can see that the top of the ramp. So ramps arrows go up. The bottom of the ramp is wide, and the top of the ramp is this little narrow thing. I like to think of it as like a bucket of paint. I've talked about this. Like if you kick a bucket of paint, it starts here and then it spreads out, like it oozes. So here's where you kick the bucket of paint, and then it spreads out. And I think that's a good kind of rule of thumb or kind of a trick to thinking about how you draw ramp arrows properly. So the arrow points up, right? If this is an arrow, and it's a fine line, it's not real. It's just an indicator. And so in this drawing, we're looking at it from above, and then they kind of have a cut line in it, and then this is what's considered to be this is what's kind of overhead, like what's going to follow. You can draw it. We kind of had the switch right into a solid. That's another way to draw it. And then when you get up to the second level, you're just looking down on the ramp, and that's a lot. That's pretty clear. But you can see the contrast between the walls or these kind of edges, these railings, and then the line type of the or the line weight of that ramp. You can see that. And basically that's it. So I just wanted to show you guys a couple of different examples of how to draw stairs. One thing that you can do as well, if you want to put an arrow center line, just a fine arrow pointing up, like that's at least in this point, or an arrow that's like U-shaped or something like that. You can do that for now. I think just so that you're clear and that it's clear to your jury like what your intention is. I think that's probably okay for now. But in the meantime, just kind of be consistent about the way you draw stairs. My strong preference is, if it's the kind of stair, would be to probably do something like this, because I think it makes the drawing a little bit less cluttered. So you just don't have quite so many lines. This is not bad though. As long as you're clear, you're fine. And then of course this is the way that it is. Just make sure that I do want to see railing on the edge so I understand where you're coming from, and then so you understand that there needs to be railings on things. And just take good sections. Talked about this all the time. No pancakey sections. Good sections. You want spatial sections. All right. Hopefully that helps clarify things a little bit for you. Another thing to notice, you can see like the way that they draw the windows here. Just 2 lines for the glass, and then a very, very fine line for the wall. And then door swings. The door thickness is usually only about 2 or 3 inches. A little exaggerated. And then the hinge is always on the center. Doors that go out to the street or outside always swing out. Interior door is usually swing in. But yeah, so that should kind of explain things. So take a look at that. Let me know if you have any questions. But otherwise, I'll see you guys in class. Thanks.